Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Hit the Ropes Radio. It's I, Shane Howard, on the ones and twos. I'll be joined shortly by my boy, Black Max, Corny McIntosh, as we discuss the latest happenings in pro wrestling. We've got a pay-per-view in 4 days from the WWE because, with this brand split, we have a pay-per-view about every 2 weeks. Fresh off the NBA draft, we're currently in the midst of watching LeBron James demolish the Boston Celtics, who have the number one draft pick for next year's, not next year's, but June's upcoming NBA draft. That is the non-wrestling portion of today's show. We've got Backlash, Smackdown's only pay-per-view on Sunday. We've got some Twitter beef, which is the reason for the title of today's episode, and we've got TV show. No, we don't normally talk about television shows that are not pro wrestling television shows, but there's a wrestling related television show that is not the WWE or wrestling, ROH, any of those guys. This is on Netflix. We'll get into that. Let me just jump right into something that I was recording Smackdown last night because Tuesday nights I don't watch. Sorry, I play basketball Tuesday and Wednesday nights for Smackdown, and I have to say, I've been a big Smackdown lover, but just not feeling Smackdown as much as I have in the past. And honestly, there's just a couple acts that like last night's episode, I watched the Jinder Mahal match because he's going up against AJ Styles. You can't miss an AJ Styles match. And the only other thing that I cared to watch was the Usos promo against Breezango, because the Usos have been so engaging, so captivating since they are getting time with this heel characterism that they're portraying.
Shtick, Jeff.
So, I'm just throwing some love out there to the Usos. Like, I'm loving the promo. They're awesome. From that day one ish. This ain't paranoia. This ain't nothing else. It's the Usos. Some good stuff. Based on the rate, the viewership, I'm thinking that some people might be like me, because according to Showbuzz Daily, SmackDown Live only averaged 2.175 million viewers last night. Last week's show was 2.345. So they lost roughly 0.2 million. I think that's the lowest it's been for quite a while with SmackDown, since they've moved over to USA. But we are joined by Mr. Courtney McIntosh. You heard that noise, just interrupting stuff. Disrespectful. He went, I guess, to put on this Detroit Pistons hat. What does that mean? You ain't gonna go nowhere in the East next year.
Well, what's up, Shane?
What's going on, man?
Man, daughter had spring concert tonight, so in a little bit of a rush to get home, but I made it.
Looks like you left the rest of your shirt at the spring concert, or you trying to show off some guns.
No, man, it's hot today, man. We got an 84-degree day today, man. You know what I'm saying? So sun's out, guns out, Plus it's sweltering in my house, man. And I'm refusing to turn the air on.
Wow.
Refusing to turn the air on. Oh yeah, man. The wife had it on for the last two days, so I'm like, nah. So
okay, I got you. All right.
So it's good, man. You been all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. SmackDown's been better. That's what I was getting into. I was stating the fact that SmackDown's ratings last night, of average viewership, I should say. I don't see the actual ratings yet, but their viewership took a hit as opposed to last week's show. And this is, of course, the go-home show to their Smackdown-only pay-per-view.
Now, were they up against anything last night? They weren't up against any other sporting events last night, were they?
The Golden State San Antonio blowout. There was that. Obviously, regionally, you're always going to have baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no. It was just, I think people realized it was just a sleepy event. You have Baron Corbin versus Randy Orton in the main event. That's not going to put butts in the seat.
That's true.
Those are two boring characters, in my opinion. Now, Orton is not boring other places, which is what we're going to get to. But in terms of what we see on camera, he's pretty darn bland. So I'm thinking that could be the reason why the numbers were low, because there was nothing major on TV. The NBA draft lottery, that was over before the basketball game started.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. Since we're talking SmackDown, and this is the guy who is the champion of said show, Randy Orton, a few days ago, made many people upset.
Oh, he was cooking.
He was cooking. And it's funny, before we get into, everything, it's pretty funny, the fact that Randy Orton is this really horrible, character on TV. He's horrible in terms of boring.
Yes,
whether he's a good guy, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, he is boring.
I totally agree.
But this guy is the opposite on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Randy Orton he posted an apology.
Right.
I'll read the apology first, and then I'll tell everybody why he's apologizing. So he says, "Sorry to the Indy guys and old timers who do dives took offense. Just having a good time over a few drinks in Denmark, closing the SmackDown Live tour, while beating Raw in making over $5 million in the last 11 shows. Now, I know to some that doesn't equate to standing room only crowd of 150 people paying $8 at an armory somewhere. Burn. But in the big boy world, that's called putting asses in seats. So enjoy your flips, dives, and 20 super kicks per match. To each their own. I will go dive back into my 13th title run and get ready to flip when my bank statement comes this month. Headlock."
Woo!
So that was his apology. Dude had some ether. I mean,
yeah, and then he had ether for the Twitter cats that was coming for him, man. this one person tweeted him like he flopped just like your champ. A chick said, "Yo, he flopped just like your championship reign." So his response was, "Be more precise. There's 13 of them." You know, I mean, hey, you know, Randy Orton had that ether, but you know what? I can relate to Randy Orton as a cook, being in the restaurant industry. I can honestly relate to that.
Okay, but before you tell why you relate to it, we got to give the people the backstory as to where this all came from.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
There was Rip Rogers. Now, for those who might know, Rip Rogers he's a wrestling veteran. He's like 60 plus years old. He's been around the ring a few times, but I've seen his tweets on time and time, but let me tell you what Rip tweeted out, because you know what? Can you clarify this? Was it Rip that started it? Or was it? I think it was Rip that started it, and Randy jumped in, and then like people went after Randy, right? Was it?
Well, it looks like so. Rip Rogers.
That's how it.
He said, "Just got this." Then he posted. Right. So I don't know if it was him who posted it, but he did repost the picture. Every indie match now, handshake, drawn out move exchange. This is awesome chant. Strike exchange. Dive, no sell indie strong style, dive, more strikes, no sales, dive, flippy floppy sequence, dive, hit everyone with each other's finisher, then Humpty Dumpty we all fall down. Fight forever chant, rinse and repeat until every move is useless and means nothing, dive, take unsafe shot that looks like shit and hurts like hell, then roll up finish. Handshake and hug after match. Everyone's hands raised. All these guys chant, go home and type on social media, thanking your opponents and company for the match, telling others they should book these guys. ... Dive. So then, so of course, Randy Orton retweeted that and said dive. So then Bubba Ray Dudley posted a picture, and I don't know if this is Bubba Ray because you can't like tell. But he took. I'm assuming it's him.
Bubba. That's Bubba.
Yeah. Okay. So then he reposted the picture of him jumping off the top rope on the three guys who I don't recognize. That says dive. So then Randy responds to the tweet. LOL. There's a difference between a young hungry talent diving and an old out of shape vet falling. Then he posted a GIF of a fat dude trying to jump into a kiddie pool off of a chair and his feet going through said chair before he can make it into the pool. So, and then that's when his apology, and I'm using air quotes here, his apology got issued.
Andy posted more than just that GIF. He posted the Olympic diver into diving into the pool, and Orton comes in with an RKO. There's one that Drew Gulak, Andy, and there's a sign that says no fly zone.
Yep.
There's Finley jumping on Mark Henry, and Finley post huge dive, hang time, top that Randy retweeted. There were a lot of guys who were taking sides with Randy Orton, and then there were a lot of people who were him and Rip Rogers. Now, I did some research, and apparently it was an indie wrestler taking credit for it. Indie wrestler who is saying that he's the one who sent the original message to Rip. Neil Parker. Never heard of this guy, but he says he's the one that sent the thing to Rip Rogers, tweeted it. You have
Yeah, I kind of fear by Rip Rogers' tweet that he didn't, it wasn't his tweet because he said just got this.
right, and then this Parker guy on May 15th and says, "Thanks for putting what I said over. Let me know where to send your shirt. Hashtag dive," because he made he's hawking a shirt now, which is just a plain white T-shirt with the red band sign, like John Cena's "You Can't See Me." He's got a guy diving out of the ring, and his head is crashing into the mat, the outside mat. Other people saying much respect to Mr. Parker for sharing a sharp opinion and standing by his word publicly. In secret, this was Kevin Condren. EC3 said, "I wish I wrote this." So again, you had some people who were chiming in who agreed. And I mean, we saw. I mentioned the Finley picture that he tweeted and the Drew Gulak. So there are people who are agreeing, and you apparently also agree. So tell us, why do you agree with Randy Orton?
Okay, so I agree with Randy Orton because I am a cook, and in the world of the restaurant industry, chefs work long hours, grueling hours, usually for crap pay, no benefits, no appreciation, of things of that nature. But that's, considered the grind, and chefs love the grind. But, and this is especially was pointed out when I was in culinary school, those guys who decide to leave that type of restaurant environment and instead go to a corporate environment like your hotels, your corporate restaurant facilities, your like dining halls, your golf clubhouses, things like that, stores. Those guys, you get benefits, usually better pay, but when it comes to appreciation and the respect of their peers, they usually, that's usually lacking, and I can relate because I just made that transition from working in a restaurant where we were grinding every day on the line, and now I am a cook at Whole Foods. So, and my boys gave me a little, ribbing, before I left, but it was like, oh man, you getting, 2 15s, 2 breaks and a lunch, man. What is that? That's soft, but I mean, hey, it's smart. And for Randy Orton to not put the, he didn't have to go to the indie scenes. He didn't have to struggle. I personally, I'm not a fan of indie wrestling, just because a lot of times indie wrestling is, to me, kind of convoluted, but because, it's not coherent storylines all the time. And it seems like a lot of guys do have the same move set. But I can appreciate it, man. I'm not going to front. I'm just not its biggest fan. But I can, like I said, I can relate to that just because I just made the transition out of a restaurant to what's considered a cushy chef's job. And it is the easiest cook job I've ever had in life, So, but, a lot of cooks on the grind think those guys have it easy. And that's what it seems like a lot of indie guys make it seem like, the WWE guys have sold out and have it easy. I remember when Seth Rollins first left ROH and he was giving a speech and the entire crowd was drowning him out, chanting, "You sold out," So I can definitely relate to what Randy Orton's comments, and I agree with those sentiments. It's not his fault that he didn't choose to go the indie route but instead chose to, you know, get paid.
Right. I mean, Randy didn't have to go the indie route because Randy's father,
he was a legacy.
He's a third generation superstar. You know, so he was privileged in that, you know, in that regard. But this is not to say that Randy, you know, is bad at what he does. You know,
right,
just
and it's
like
not to
how
say that he didn't have to work hard.
Right. You know, Charlotte has Ric Flair as her father, one of the greatest ever. You know, for her, I think there was a lot more pressure because Cowboy Bob Orton, you know, he was a good hand, you know, pun intended, because, you know, the you know, but he was a good hand, but he wasn't Ric Flair, you know. But Charlotte put her work in because when Charlotte first started, she was green as hell. You know, so Randy did some work. I understand that he came in and didn't have to do the whole indie scene thing. And, you know, other people are going to say, well, you know, because they don't do that, they don't earn it. And you know what? That's BS.
Yeah.
That is straight BS, because, you know, if the opportunity presents itself, life is all about seizing opportunity.
Right.
The opportunity was presented to him. He made it what he had to so he can be successful.
And here's the thing. Remember how polished Randy was when he first came in? It wasn't like he wasn't like robot. He was really polished for you know, a quote unquote new jack, you know.
Yeah. I mean, he's never been a bad wrestler. He's just been a boring personality on camera. You know, can you know, I've seen Randy Orton, you know, do like TV. Like he did a talk show appearance one time, you know, Naked Baby, when he was on, what was that, Jimmy Fallon or something like that, where you know, you were able to see that he's a guy who has, you know, some personality. And Twitter is where he really lets his personality shine. I'm mad that the WWE and him does not let more of this come into his character, but it is what it is. We're not talking about his creative or his character right now. We're talking about the fact that he stated what he said about indie wrestling. And you stated that you're not a big fan of indie wrestling. I like independent wrestling for the fact that I get to see people, you know, closer to home, because and for a more affordable price. Now, would I, if given the choice, do I go to an independent wrestling or do I go to like a pay-per-view for the WWE or ROH or Impact, which are one of the bigger names? I'm probably going to pick the bigger names, because to me, it's a more polished show. I have lots of fun when I go to independent wrestling because I feel that I can be more of the show. You know, you get to be closer, you get a little more interaction with the crowd, not with the crowd, but the wrestlers. When I go, I always make sure I sit like in the first or, you know, second or third row, so that I'm really up there, because I like to jaw jack, you know, with the wrestlers and all of that. So for that aspect, it's good, but I'm not going to be mad at a guy who did his time in independent wrestling and then has moved on, like the people did when Seth Rollins was Tyler Black.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna boo him and say you sold out. No, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're not presented with the opportunity immediately, you work for the opportunity. When you get the opportunity, you say, you know what, congratulations, move on. Now there's another spot open for somebody else. So the whole selling out and indie fans liking to keep those independent wrestlers in independent wrestling, to me, that doesn't make much sense. For you to come at Randy Orton and all the other wrestlers who might have said, you know, this is what's bad with indie wrestling, you know, you should sit back, you know, do a little what Kendrick Lamar said and be humble, and, you know, sit down, be humble, look at it for the truth that they're speaking.
Right.
They do a lot of that whole no selling, foolish stuff because they want to try to get a move over. But do you see much psychology when you watch the independent wrestling, Courtney?
Not really. But here's the thing, like, they do stuff to get big pops from the crowd. Like, you remember last year Vader had that big to do over Twitter about Ricochet and what's his name? And there, when they had that little opening spot to their match where it looked like it was straight out of a kung fu movie. I enjoyed that because I thought it was dope. But at the same time, I can understand why some wrestling fans wouldn't like it, because I like storytelling when it comes to wrestling. I really do. That's why I really enjoyed the Triple H Roman Reigns match from, I believe that was what was that? Survivor Series or SummerSlam? Whenever their last match was, and people, were like destroying it. I thought it was a good match because the same from the Triple H Daniel Bryan match at WrestleMania a couple years ago when people were talking about how bad the match was, but the match told a story, just like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, when Seth Rollins cashed in, I was enjoying that match because I thought Brock and Roman were telling a good story, So I like storytelling in my wrestling, but at the same time, I just like the flips and stuff too sometimes. Like I stated, one of my early draws to wrestling was the cruiserweights in WCW, but they also had storylines,
Right. I'm in the chat room right now. Daniel Price was letting you know that it was Ospreay you're talking about, Will Ospreay.
Yes, yeah.
And he's calling.
Oh yeah, he got that ether for Randy Orton.
He's saying that Orton is a spoiled bitch who's had a spoiled bitch with a silver spoon that got everything handed to him. And again,
here's the thing: there are reports, that you hear rumblings from the locker room for years that's the truth about Randy Orton.
Right, and I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. This is the guy that he has what, 2 strikes. He was pooping in people's bags and trashing hotel rooms and all this other stuff. I know all of that about Orton, but it's also it's kind of also par for the course when you see like the child actors who grow up and because things came to them so easy when they were younger, they do all this outlandish stuff. I'm not surprised. And yes, Orton got his strikes removed where people got fired for less. But let's also remember, at the end of the day, this is a business.
Mm-hmm.
If that is one of your big cash cows, I'm sorry, I'm protecting my bottom line. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's business. Everybody got to eat. And I know that if this guy who is not putting asses in seats or selling merchandise to the level of Randy Orton, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my bank statement here and I'm saying, well, if I let go of Randy Orton, my bank statement's going to go down. But if I let go of this
I'm going to lose that merch,
Right. And somebody
else. But if I let go
of
JTG, I'm saying I'm not going to be hurt.
Right. I mean, this is the reason, the same reason why they're finding, they found ways to remove Orton's strike, whether or not he went to rehab or did his, paid his penance. They're protecting their bottom line, just like how Impact Wrestling is not releasing the Broken Universe because they're trying to make sure that nobody else profits off of that. It's a business. It's a business. Indie wrestling wants to get the wrestlers, and the wrestlers that get fired from the WWE or Impact Wrestling or ROH, or if their contract expires and they walk away, the indie wrestling are quick to pounce, just like
Right.
the WWE or Impact or ROH is going to pounce when a good name is released. You know, but I've noticed that for the last 10 minutes or so, we've once again gotten off course because, again, we're stuck on, the psychology and all of that. And if all you're doing is, super kick, super kick, super kick, and like for the Young Bucks, I love the Young Bucks. Darius hates the Young Bucks, partly because of their look and the fact that, the whole super kick party and all of this stuff, he doesn't really care for it.
You know what? And I like them. I think they're great heels. I love the charisma they have. But dog, I don't have to see 600 super kicks per match. I'll be honest. I don't.
Well, when and here's the thing with them, I give them a pass, because and I think I give them a pass only because of Steve Corino.
Okay.
Only because of Steve Corino. When I was watching ROH and Steve Corino was calling the matches, and he, every time super kick part, that was part of the fun for me. Now,
an announcer can makes that something happen like that,
Live Free jumped in the chat room, said Orton was flip-flop and flying when he entered the WWE. He needs to relax.
Yeah, and he was though.
But so was Matt Hardy. Mm-hmm. But what happened? He realized, you can't keep doing this stuff, because if you want longevity, you got to be smart about this. But it's not so much that you can't flip. I don't think Orton is saying that you can't do these top rope moves and all of that. That's not what Orton was saying. That's not what Rip Rogers was saying. That's not what the guy who wrote that original piece was saying. He's just saying that a lot of what indie wrestling does, to them, it doesn't make much sense, because you do this whole no selling. You do these spots just to get the crowd to chant, "This is awesome," or, "Fight forever." You're only doing it for that response. You're not doing it for the overall enjoyment. It's like you're doing it just to get the high for that moment. And if you were to tell a complete, coherent story, then, then we wouldn't be at this point. But that's not what we see when you go to a lot of independent wrestling. You don't see a lot of coherent story. You see people trying to put themselves or their move over. And I've heard this from wrestlers myself, because I will go to an indie wrestling event when there's a big star there. And it's usually somebody who we've interviewed in the past, so we've gotten to talk and we've gotten to know each other and all of that. And I've heard it from their mouths. I'm not going to put anybody out there, but I've heard it from their mouths. And they're like, freaking guys are just, just doing stuff just to do stuff. So, that's what they're talking about. Don't just do stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Don't just do stuff because you want people to say, "Oh my God, did you just see that move?"
Right.
Make that, "Oh my God, did you just see that move?" work in the context of the match. I think that's what he's talking about.
And I have to totally agree with that.
And and at the end of the day, Orton being in the WWE, he's in the top of the castle. While a lot of these people are in the moat or outside of the castle trying to get in. And
they're in the D League,
right? And he's also just having some. I think he was also just having some fun.
Yeah.
Like he said, I think if there was any truth in that ether that of an apology, he was just having some fun. Part of it was him having fun, because he knew it would rile people up.
Yep.
And that's exactly what occurred. Any other thoughts on this before we transition to something else?
Nah, man. I like I said, I really enjoyed the the take. You know, I remember I hit you guys up when I first read it. I called Stokes. Of course, he wasn't impressed. You know, it's kind of like he doesn't get impressed by anything. You know, so you
know. All right. Before we go and talk a little bit of Backlash, SmackDown's pay-per-view that's coming up on Sunday. In the past, did you watch a wrestling promotion called Glow?
No, but I remember you talking about it a lot. I never watched Glow.
And okay. Now, the thing is, I never really, you know, I didn't grow up like watching Glow. But when we had the website running, you know, getting monster hits, you know, daily and all of this stuff, and I was trying to, you know, Jen Preston, the first lady of the HTR, and myself, when we try to do some focus on the women, you know, we would mention ladies who went through Glow, and you know, but I never really sat and watched like a full episode, a full show of the program. And I know it was out there for people to possibly view, but I didn't. I knew of it. I was somewhat interested, but not interested enough. Just like I'm interested in WWE, but I'm not interested enough that I'm going to be paying $9.99 every month, because I'm not going to use the network to its full advantage. But Glow is coming back, but it's not, you know, the wrestling that we see here on Monday nights and Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights and Thursday nights and Friday nights, or at your local, you know, armory for $8 for 100 people, standing room only. It's coming to Netflix. Are you interested in watching this Netflix feature?
You know what? Because I've been looking for some you know, interesting you know, wrestling, because you know, hey, the last couple of weeks, let's be honest, Raw's been bad. SmackDown hasn't been that much better. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm looking forward to it, because I like, you know, I want to know a little bit more about it. It's I'm assuming it's like a biography kind of thing. I'm not sure how much freedom was taken, but is Awesome Kong. I know Darius talked about Awesome Kong being in there, and she's a lot slimmer. Now, when I was watching the trailer, I didn't even notice that could have been Awesome Kong.
I actually,
did you happen to see?
I really didn't. No, I haven't seen a trailer.
Oh, okay then. Well, after this show, you need to go find that trailer.
I think I should.
Yeah, I think you should. You knew we were going to talk about Glow. You should have done your homework, sir.
Yeah, I know.
So looking out for that. It's supposed to be coming out in June. Now I'm not doing my homework, but yeah, I believe it's coming out in June. So look out for that. You got some well-known actors and actresses in there, and I'm pretty sure you'll see a couple wrestlers pass through. Now, does the WWE stop Naomi from talking about Glow, or is WWE going to have a partnership with Netflix because of this show? You know, yeah. I doubt it. I doubt either one happens, but I'm just wondering a little bit what happens now with Naomi and this thing. I know they're talking. I still don't know what the hell Naomi talking about. You gonna get that glow? I still don't know what the hell that is.
Me neither.
I love her entrance and I love Naomi's assets and all of that, but I still don't know what the hell a glow is, other than gorgeous ladies of wrestling. And Naomi
it looks like it's a
gorgeous lady.
It looks like it's an homage to 80s female wrestling.
Right. Yes. Because that's kind of that was the era of Glow.
So
Are you
you wanna?
are you looking at the trailer now, or are you you just reading up
I
on
am. I am. No, I'm looking at the trailer right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. For those who don't know,
Mhm.
it hung around for a little bit, from the mid '80s to the early '90s, and it was actresses and models and all of that. It wasn't like your true ladies who went in on the indie scene and perfected their craft. There was a lot of actresses and all of that playing the part. So look out for that. I'm interested. He's interested, and I think you should be
Mhm.
interested as well. All right, so let's move on. As I said, it's coming out in June of this year. Let's move on to. We've got Shinsuke Nakamura on the poster. This is
Mhm.
like a pay per view being built around him. He wasn't on SmackDown last night.
Yeah, that's some of the weird things that WWE has been doing recently. Like, they made the big to do with Nakamura's, fake, debut. Um, and yeah, he's had interaction with Dolph, but yeah, that's it.
So yeah, he wasn't there. Dolph mentioned their feud and everything, but just to give you a rundown of the matches that are currently set, we've got Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English in the pre-show. We've got Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan that was made on Talking Smack. Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. We've got the ladies in a 3-on-3 tag match. Naomi, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch versus Natalia, Carmella, and Tamina, who are calling themselves the Welcoming Committee. Goodbye. Number we've got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between the Usos, who I was praising earlier, and Breezango, who I like. I just wish they would get rid of this damn Breezango and Fashion Police crap.
Yo, hey, that fashion police, and this week's SmackDown was the first time I saw it. That was hilarious.
I'm not going to say that they're horrible.
Oh boy.
But they could be better. It's not like they're trying to sell timeshares in Puerto Rico.
Right.
But I kind of wish that we could get to see, less fashion police and more of what these guys can do. I don't know. I'm just not really. I think because of how they're portraying them, it's pretty obvious they're not going to win the title. They're just comedy. It's just like I don't think anybody is sweating bullets that Jinder Mahal is going to beat Randy Orton, even with the Singh brothers. Even though I'm saying don't hinder Jinder, I don't think anybody's like, oh my gosh, Randy's gonna lose this title to Jinder Mahal. I just can't see it because of how these characters have been. Now I'm glad that SmackDown has propelled some of these people into a more prominent role, and maybe in the future I can take them a little bit more seriously. But as much as I am liking the fact that they're giving Jinder a shot and Breezango a shot, I think that the outcome is pretty straightforward, that the champions are going to retain.
And I think that's the good thing about SmackDown. SmackDown been throwing us some curveballs. They haven't really been booking it too good, but I mean, I like how they call it the land of opportunity, and certainly they've been giving dudes, opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jinder won the championship. But I think it's gonna be some shenanigans in that match. Like, where's Rusev? Like, is Rusev gonna finally show up? You know, he couldn't show up last night because the Predators had a hockey game, you know. But you know what? Where's Rusev? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just expect some shenanigans. But you know what? I gotta take a second and clap for the Usos, man. You know, I've been high on the Usos since the heel turn. Their program with the Fashion Police, you know, it's been the best thing on SmackDown the last couple of weeks. Their promos have been excellent. I think it's, you know, WWE should have did that with Roman Reigns. You know what I'm saying? Put him in leather, walk around like a badass. Like, they put, you know, it's like they dressed Tamina like the Usos, but she has no association with them on the show whatsoever.
Well, you know, for you saying that they should have done that with Roman Reigns, you know, it's one thing to just put them in the outfits. Roman can't handle the microphone. I don't think Roman can handle a microphone like Jay and Jimmy.
Well, that may be true, but at the same time, man, Roman hasn't, like, you can't script everything and expect him to not come off sounding like a robot. Because when he's on the mic, he sounds like a robot. And he's best saying very little. You know what I'm saying? That silent, you know, badass. Just come wreck shop. But, you know, it sucks for Braun Strowman, too. Just a little raw side. But, I mean, hey, Roman whooped his ass last week with that chair. I was cringing at some of those shots, but you know, hey, it's neither here nor there. Okay, so I'm watching. All right,
Daniel Price said the Usos all they've done is just yell a lot. They look like a Samoan version of Malibu's Most Wanted. I'm usually down with whatever Daniel say, but you coming at the
I gotta boo
you coming at the Usos, man. I'm sorry. You know, the way they play off of each other, you know, and they're just so quick with you know, it's like jab, 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 you know, hook cross, you know, uppercut at the end. I'm sorry. I'm loving it. It's like the bantering and the trash talking that you'll see like on the basketball courts or in the lunchroom and all of that. You know, it's just very engaging and quick-witted. I'm sorry. You know, Daniel, you get a boo from me today. I'm sorry. All right, so sorry, before I cut you off, you were going somewhere else.
I forgot. All right, so you wanna give a backlash preview? I think we should.
I really, you know, really, I'm just gonna give you my winners. You give me your winners, because honestly, there's not a lot here. There's 8 matches, and there's not a lot of them that I really care to see. You know, I care to see like one person in a match or something like that, but I don't care for like the match really. Like, I'm happy that Ty Dillinger is going to be wrestling. He's on the pre-show. Am I going to watch the pre-show? Probably not.
Does anybody watch the pre-show? Unless you're there,
you know. Yeah, and half of the time they're still getting popcorn. Right. So. Yeah, Ty Dillinger is going to win that. Aiden English right now, since Simon Gotch left, who's probably going to end up in ROH. Aiden's become like their Kurt Hawkins. He's going to be doing the job. Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. I'm kind of tired of the Wyatt family guys just fighting each other.
Me too.
Eric probably wins this. I don't know. He was on Talking Smack acting all spooky and scaring Renee Young. Maybe I take it he wins. Sami Zayn keeps getting beaten down, so I think Corbin continues doing that. People still love Sami. He'll still do some weird ass backstage promo and
okay. So before we start, so I'm watching SmackDown right now. So it's the main event. This is an exchange at the beginning of Randy Orton and Baron Corbin's match. I liked it because it was very old school. I had a very old school feel, So I just had to throw that in there since we were talking about Randy. But hey, I'm the lone guy of the crew who likes Baron Corbin. So,
yeah, you can stay being the only guy. All right, so continue with my quick picks of who I think is going to win, and then I'll give you the floor to do yours. Shinsuke versus Dolph. The fact that Shinsuke is on the poster, one might think that the WWE might give a little, there's a chance that there's a swerve that Dolph finds a way to pull this out and prolong this feud. I don't care about this match because I don't care about Dolph Ziggler. I like Shinsuke.
Exactly.
I like Shinsuke. I don't care about Dolph at this point. So do I want to see this feud continue? Heck to the no, but it's going to continue. And I don't care who wins. I just want to keep seeing Nakamura's entrance and him kicking Dolph Ziggler in the face. Mm-hmm. Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky. It's just like, why are we just getting all the women? We can't we just have like multiple feuds? Why do we just have to lump all 6 women in the same match? And James Ellsworth. I feel that the welcoming committee might win. Perhaps one of the ladies on Naomi's team causes the welcoming committee to win. I don't know. AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. I'm looking forward to this. But I feel like this feud could have been a lot better.
A whole lot better, man. Most of the feud, Kevin Owens was in a suit talking.
And I think part of the problem is because Kevin Owens was, AJ Styles won the number 1 contendership, but Kevin Owens was still feuding with Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know the match is going to be good, but this feud could have been so much better. And I don't really want to see this feud continue because I want to see AJ Styles going after the WWE Championship. And I already mentioned what I think about the tag team title and the WWE Championship matches. So what about you? Is there anything here you really want to go out of your way to see and quickly go through your winners, losers?
I'll be honest. There's only one match. Well, actually, I can't say one match. I'm really looking forward to the Owens Styles match because I believe they could just put on a great match. I believe they could put on an excellent match. I'll be honest. I really want Jinder Mahal to go over just because it's a different look. One, Randy Orton is boring too. The 2 guys who I just care the least about in the entire company are wrestling on this card. That's Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler. So do I think he's going to win? No, not a chance. I think, but I don't think he's going to lose clean. I think it might be some shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? Or if he wins, I think it's not going to be clean. I think it's going to be shenanigans because this is a match. It's been shenanigans throughout the whole feud on Jinder's behalf. So I think that's going to continue. So let me see. I think the Usos are going to retain. I'm pretty sure I can guarantee you Nakamura is probably not going to lose because that's really kind of like his debut match. So I doubt he's going to lose. I got Kevin Owens going over AJ Styles, even though I really think those 2 guys should be, feuding for the top championship and not the United States. But I got Kevin Owens going over AJ Styles. And Randy Orton going over Jinder Mahal by disqualification or some other shenanigans. All right. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot. Smile and Sammy Horowitz versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's going to win that match. Has Sami Zayn even won a match in 2017? So yeah, the losing streak continues.
Mm. Darius coming for Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is overrated, says Darius in the chat room.
Mm.
I mentioned that Kevin Owens, even though Darius used his old name, Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Owens has not been like this badass since his John Cena feud days. He's really been like this comedy sidekick, Weasley, whiny, slippery heel kind of guy. Maybe when we see a return of this more badass Kevin Owens, I think a lot of things would get a little bit better when it comes to him. Um,
Like I like the little, the best American champion shtick, but I don't like seeing Kevin Owens in a suit. I would rather see him see him in wrestling gear beating up guys on my TV screen.
right, right. I think after like Jericho, was it Jericho that came back with the whole suit thing, and then like everybody started wearing the damn suit.
Yeah.
It kind of got out of hand. With a few minutes left, I wanted to say something about the other wrestling company that I think I'm the only person here who watches it. Um,
NXT?
no, Impact Wrestling. Yeah, I still watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still one of the 300,000 who actually pay attention to channel 694 according to my cable box, Pop TV. Um, Matt Sydal, who wrestling fans might have known as Evan Bourne in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Sydal has company now for a couple weeks, and they've put him in some high profile matches since he's been back. I think this is like his third week. Last week was like his third week on TV, and the first 2 weeks he got to be with some big names. He was against Eddie Edwards 2 weeks ago, and he actually beat Eddie Edwards. And the announcers are making this big deal about Matt Sydal and everything. And you build this guy up, and 3 weeks into his run there, you throw him in the first match, and it's now their usual X Division clusterfuck where you have 4 random X Division guys. And I'm like, so what the hell were you doing these first 2 weeks where you're positioning him as, this big signing, and you're having him in one-on-one matches. You put him up against a former world champion, and he goes over the former world champion. Then you put him in this 4-way X Division title match that it's not even like it's for a X Division championship, contendership spot. It's just a random 4-way match, and he loses in a match that goes like less than 8 minutes. Like, you do all of this, and then you throw him out there for him to lose. It pisses me off. It's like, what are you doing? And the person who won the match is Andrew Everett, who was one of the guys. Yeah, you probably don't even know who Andrew Everett is, but if you were watching like the whole total nonstop deletion and all of that, he was one of the guys that were hanging out with Hurricane Helms.
Oh, okay.
But Andrew Everett was this guy who the crowd was falling behind. He was feuding with Shane Helms and Trevor Lee for the X Division Championship. Suddenly, after we start seeing Karen Jarrett and all these other people who are part of Anthem Wrestling, suddenly Andrew Everett became obsolete, and we have Low Key and what's that guy's name? Oh my gosh, what is the other X Division guy who was always around? He used to be best friends with Jay Lethal, the Indian dude.
Who, Davari?
Not Davari. Oh my God, why can't I remember his freaking name? Oh, jeez. Okay, it might not be this episode because I'm trying to wrap it up, but but these guys come in, Everett just becomes, like I said, obsolete, and now he wins a random 4-way match. Two guys that nobody cares about. Caleb Conley, Desmond Xavier. But he also beats Matt Seidel, who you've been building up. It makes absolutely no sense.
No sense at all.
Sanjay Dutt. Thank you.
Yeah, Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I haven't heard Sanjay Dutt's name in a long time.
Well, he's been gone for a long time, and then he suddenly came back, and he's been focused on. But Andrew Everett hasn't. It's one of those things, kind of like how in the chat room they were talking about not understanding what happened to Luke Harper's push.
Mm-hmm.
These sudden push and then stop pushing. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Impact had a good thing with a couple guys. Andrew Everett. They were starting something with Matt Seidel. I'm pretty sure they'll go back to it, but to me that killed it. Eli Drake is another one.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, these were guys that the crowd was falling, in love with, and they were doing something, and then suddenly there's, new management, and the pushes stop. It makes no sense to me. So that was my Impact Wrestling take. For those who still watch Impact Wrestling, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. But you know what? Dive. Back to you, sir.
I mean, I really don't have any more to add other than, hey, man, just let us know what you think about the pay-per-view. I'm going to the Smackdown show next Monday. There is a Smackdown show here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. So I'll be going Monday night. Kind of excited for it. I've never been to a house show before. I've been to, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. But this is going to be my first house show I'm going to. I got the whole family going, even the wife who's upset at me because she's saying I forced her to go. Yes, I did. But yeah, we're going, looking forward to having a great time there. So she and I have matching New Day shirts, so we're going to rock those together at the same time for the first time. So, yeah.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Dragging your wife to a wrestling event. She probably doesn't want
to. No, she doesn't want to go.
They're so sweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Hit the Ropes. You can also check us out and check this show out if you want to listen to the show again because, you just want to hear Courtney's sultry voice.
Oh gosh, hold on. I'm looking at this in the chat room. Yo, they about to make Abyss be what's his name? Daniel Parks or whatever is Joseph Parks.
Yes, apparently. I have never cared about Abyss.
Yeah, me neither.
Sorry, these are cane lights. So, thank you. Follow us on Twitter. You can get this show and all of our other shows on iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher and Podomatic and Castbox and Podcast and this cast and this website and that website because we're all over the place. Make sure you find us and tell your people to also do the same thing and join us in the chat room every Wednesday for those who are not in the chat room now because we be having a live chat room. Like you can be there going back and forth with Daniel Price. You're probably gonna lose because Daniel be knowing his stuff. and then you got Hot Dog being there. Darius will pop in, you know. Courtney will pop in when he's not on the microphone. Demetrius might pop in. He wouldn't do it today because he doesn't care for how Courtney looks on air. So
he's such a hater.
Just join us and let's keep this thing rolling. So from me to you and from Mac to you, this is Hit the Ropes. We are signing off. Don't forget Backlash this Sunday. If you watch it, tell us about it because I probably don't even watch the damn thing. Peace out.
Yeah, no wrestling with friends tonight. I mean, on Saturday.
Sunday, sir. Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, sorry.
Peace out.